UFC BJJ Rebrand from an unbiased lens.
Hey guys, just popping in to let you know that I recorded this before the first episode of Road to the Title was dropped earlier today at 9 a.m. It is Monday, June 16th. I just watched the first episode and I'm going to let the rest of this unbiased take play through before I dive into the first episode because why not?
The smartest thing that they've done that wasn't a complete copycat of other things going on in the industry is rebranding from Fight Pass Invitational to UFC BJJ. I like the shift from Invitational to UFC BJJ simply for the fact that they're going to be having titles and they're going to have athletes compete to be the best grappler in the world. And in that case, you can't have overt favoritism or invitees coming to your show to represent and be the best in the world. I think that takes away from the legitimacy of big promotions like ADCC when they were overtly showing favoritism. But the reason why invitational in a promotion works is when fighters are invited based on the opinion of whoever is running the promotion. So Craig Jones Invitational, he's done a lot of different things where he's inviting certain athletes that he aligns with or doesn't invite certain athletes that he does not align with. Fight Pass Invitational under the UFC banner, it just didn't really make sense for them to be using the invitational word, which I think was kind of just taken from Eddie Bravo's Invitational. Which again makes sense because Eddie Bravo chooses to invite a lot of people from 10th Planet to show off that rubber guard game and also people who want to be involved in combat jiu-jitsu. So that is an invite from Eddie Bravo himself, who is an icon in jiu-jitsu, one of the greatest pioneers and figures that jiu-jitsu has. Fight Pass Invitational, it just never really made sense, and the fact that they're rebranding to UFC at BJJ is the greatest move they've made so far. We saw favoritism with ADCC when Mo Jasm was at the head.
Hey, just want you to know, like, we appreciate everything, we're with you and stuff like that. And it was, I'm not gonna lie, it feels good, because I've known a lot of these people, like, I've been every ADCC since 2005. Some of these athletes I've known for 20 years. I've known Shanji for 20 years. Wagner, these guys have been around, these OGs have been around a long time. Vinny was my first invite in 2009.
The reason why Invitational works for Craig Jones Invitational is because it's a one-time-a-year Super Bowl event that is for prize fighting athletes. CJI is not supposed to be a sports league like the Professional Grappling Federation. The first event of UFC BJJ 1 will be held on Wednesday, June 25th. That is also the same day as Professional Grappling Federation's draft day, and it's ironic considering a lot of the welterweight bracket that they're featuring happen to come from PGF. As you guys know, the Professional Grappling Federation helps jiu-jitsu grow by being live and free on YouTube for the regular season, and in the past seasons, they have had a partnership with UFC Fight Pass when the playoffs would play on their platform. But now we're seeing UFC at BJJ take a page out of PGF's book and do a week-long event for their UFC at BJJ series that will also be during International Fight Week. And the other aspect that we get to judge from an unbiased lens, as most people know, I do work alongside CJI, and I also used to work with Karate Combat, so I've been well aware to the really harsh patent about the pit. When CJI had originally started using the alley, I was in shock. Like, I did not think that Karate Combat would let it fly, but now Karate Combat and CJI share a patent on the angled walls. And now with the introduction of the Octo, there's going to be so much opportunity for hilarious memes and for people to hold up the Spider-Man fingers and say, "You copied me, no, you copied me." Either way, we're gonna get better jiu-jitsu, so I'm all for it. We also saw Andrew Tackett in the comments saying that the Octo is the best format that he has been able to compete in. He said that in CJI, with the angled walls, sometimes that can cause a little bit of inaction. So now he says that because it is more of a bowl, there's nonstop flow that can take place in the Octo. Now, the only other major miss for this UFC Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu debut is the fact that they couldn't lock down a good coaching matchup. Obviously, Mikey Musumeci is their exclusive signed fighter, so they were gonna go with Mikey. There was talks that it was gonna be Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan ends up pulling out. Craig Jones was then in the talks as well. Craig decides to stand with Flow Grappling and make there be more competition in the jiu-jitsu world. So instead of finding a better option, I even thought that maybe an Owen Jones would have been a fun coach to have, a little bit better than a fighter that that isn't fluent in English and can't really interact as well, but who knows? Maybe they have a great dynamic and there's a lot of drama and entertainment for this season. But I think the only other major miss that we can notice from the details that we know right now about UFC BJJ is that the coaches did not match up how they wanted to. But again, they had a tough timeline to do this. International Fight Week is going to be that June 25th to June 28th weekend. So they had to make decisions quickly. And I know the process on getting a coach locked down after Gordon dropped out, that window became very small. They didn't completely mismanage things because they did choose the two most entertaining divisions they could have chosen. Welterweight, obviously the CJI under 80 kilogram bracket was the best bracket of all time in jiu-jitsu history and likely will never be topped again. But they did the welterweight division and they took a lot of stars from PGF. Actually, half of the welterweight cast is from PGF, so claps there for that. They do make a claim that these fighters are the 16 best grapplers in the world. I think the only ADCC medalist is Josh Cisneros at the 2024 ADCC World Championship where he got bronze. If they wanted to make that claim true, they would have had to add some key players in that lightweight division like Baby Shark, Diego Pato, and Owen Jones to really level up to say that these are elite grapplers. But hey, there's nothing wrong with featuring up-and-comers and elite grapplers on a show. Very similar to what PGF does and has had success with, and considering they took a lot of that from PGF, why not just say that you're featuring up-and-comers and the best of the best? So instead of claiming that you have the best athletes in the world when it's clear you don't have the Rotolos, you don't have Dante Leon in that welterweight division, you don't have the returning ADCC champions, maybe just brand it as, hey, this is the Ultimate Fighter show with the up-and-comers that you need to be paying attention to and the elite vets of the game. I think that's a more unbiased way to do it. But hey, I've worked for many different promotions, and the way you market it, you're just going to sell things like it's the best of the best. So I completely understand. But from an unbiased perspective and someone who actually knows about the rankings in jiu-jitsu, this is obviously not the best 16 grapplers in the world, but they're still really good. You got Keith Krikorian, Polaris champ. You got Gianni Grippo, world champion. You got ADCC bronze medalist Josh Cisneros in that lightweight division. And then in the welterweight division, you got Nathan Haddad, who's one of the most underrated grapplers today. You have Andy Varela, who is a PGF champion and also ADCC vet, CJI vet. You also have Elijah Carlton, who is a personality. You need personality in these type of shows, especially since the Ultimate Fighter has kind of sizzled in popularity. Then bringing back Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler still wasn't doing that great. Like, you need a little bit of excitement and diverse personality and trash talkers in a format like this. So including Elijah Carlton, I think is perfect. Oh, and then of course, having Andrew Tackett is major. Andrew Tackett had a standout personality breakthrough on the Flow Grappling reality show. I think it was a miss for them to not tie him down and make him Flow Grappling for life. But hey, that's what Flow Grappling stands for. They are very anti-exclusive, so they did not do that. And now they have to deal with Andrew Tackett becoming a company man for the UFC. I can't blame Andrew Tackett for going that direction. It is the UFC after all. A lot of these guys have grown up being such big UFC fans, and just to be in the arena for big events like UFC 316, being able to break down backstage with his brother, the choke that Merab just defended his bantamweight title with, is huge. So I can totally understand why athletes are choosing different routes. We have to think back that the Tacketts were the ones who chose originally to leave ADCC and kind of trailblaze the path for CJI and even legitimize CJI as the promotion to stand up against the big juggernaut that was ADCC at the time. So that is a quick analysis of everything that we know about the UFC BJJ debut happening June 25th. Guys, I am Team Jiu-Jitsu. I work for CJI. I love ADCC, and I support UFC BJJ making their debut during International Fight Week because it is going to be a huge thing for all athletes and coaches in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm happy for it, but I do like taking the time to be honest and critique where things could be better. So let me know what you guys think could have been better. The coaches, any athletes you thought should have been in there. When can we expect a woman's The Ultimate Grappler show? I don't think they're calling it The Ultimate Grappler just because of the tug jokes. But let me know in the comments below, and we cannot wait to hear from you guys. It is going to be a great year for Jiu-Jitsu. Can 2025 be an even bigger year for Jiu-Jitsu than 2024? You can bet on it.
With the first episode dropping, I figured I'd talk about some of the things that we saw. I am currently in Miami off of like 3 hours of sleep, so sorry if I'm not super high energy, but right now it has about 125,000 views in 7 hours, and it is a 26-minute episode. So I think keeping things short is the way to go. This isn't like a true The Ultimate Fighter, because The Ultimate Fighter you'd end up seeing on TV. And I think the episodes for The Ultimate Fighter are an hour. So with this format, they're just trying to squeeze everything in this week. So June 16th to June 23rd. And then the finale of everything is on June 25th. And in the finale, we're going to get Harrison, the coach, Mikey Musumeci, fight for the bantamweight title. We're also going to get the finalists of the lightweight division, and then also the finalists of the welterweight division going head-to-head in the Octo Bowl. This 26-minute episode, I had to do a little bit of skipping through some parts, but for the most part, I thought we didn't get to see as much personality as I would have liked. I feel like I've been seeing so many of Keith Krikorian's posts and how funny he is. I think we need to get more humor in these upcoming episodes. We got to see Andrew Tackett face off with the number 8 seed, Aaron Wilson. And I didn't know if I really liked how they ended up picking the teams. Like, you get the first pick, and then once you get the first pick, then the other opposite seed of them automatically goes to the other team. Like, it kind of just was weird. I'm like, why not just pick teams? I did appreciate the fact that they started off the episode talking about the origins of Jiu-Jitsu. After all, they do have all that classic original UFC Jiu-Jitsu content, so why not use it? And Dana mentioned that the reason why him and the Fertitas wanted to buy the UFC was because of Jiu-Jitsu. So I think that this whole Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu thing is really just paying homage, and I say that in my unbiased review. When it comes to like entertainment factor, I don't think I remembered one point of this episode where I was just like straight up laughing or anything close to that. I did get some emotion when they featured Aaron Wilson, and he has an autistic son. I just thought, ironic the way that people joke around the jiu-jitsu community, and in the first story they have that's a little bit more heartfelt, they make it about that. But Aaron Wilson, he gave his all in his match against Andrew Tackett, and I like how this season's going to go by really quickly because Andrew Tackett's already in the semifinals. He only had to win one to get into the semifinals. It is an 8-man bracket for each division. You have 16 of the best grapplers in the world. Oh, and this is the other thing I forgot to mention, or in the first version of this video that I filmed, B-Team and the Simple Man podcast had not released this video they did on why they did not choose to do UFC BJJ. And Chris Wojcik talks about the topic. I have a separate interview with him where he's going to share some information as well. But if you guys have not seen that, go check it out. He basically says that the UFC was very unorganized when it came down to a week before the event. He still hadn't seen a contract. They just told him he was going to have a flight and fly out. And he decided that it was more important for him to be involved with the Super Bowl of Jiu-Jitsu that has a higher payout rather than go to the UFC. So what did you guys think about the episode? Let me know. And if you guys are here right now, make sure you smash that like button. My YouTube channel has been a little bit slow lately, but Combate Global returns, so there's going to be a lot more content for my MMA fans. But when it comes to UFC, super excited for UFC BJJ. It just gives us more to talk about. It gives more opportunity for the athletes. But we did see Craig make a few posts roasting UFC BJJ, and the more Craig roast content we get, the better. I'm really hoping we can lock him down for another episode of On Borrowed Time. But until then, I will see you guys in the next episode or live chat that I end up doing, and hopefully see you guys live on YouTube for the Combate Global, Combate Female this Thursday right here in Miami. So I'll see you guys soon.